so much for joining us for the Genesis episode of Playform Radio. This is a new show that we're planning to stream every week, via our Discord and everywhere else that we distribute content. And it'll continue to be at this time on Thursdays. In the past that we found that this time tends to work since our audience is spread across primarily at this point, North America and Europe. So we wanted to be able to accommodate as many of you as possible. Note that this is also being recorded so that we can share it on YouTube, because I know there's a lot of other people in our community who wanted to catch it but couldn't come at this time. So just to get started, I'm Jennifer Chang, and I'm the CEO at Playform, a no-code generative AI platform for artists. We're starting this show because we've been getting a lot of questions from our artists about the business aspects of art. With new technology like social media, NFTs, and e-commerce, artists are now able to go direct to consumers and sell their art. But this really requires all artists to now start thinking like an entrepreneur. As someone that started a lot of businesses and I spent a lot of time in business school, I felt like, I had something to help share with the community, as well as, I'm out there constantly talking to people about Playform, going to the different events out there and meeting some really great people that I feel like you guys should hear from as well. Starting with my friend here, ChefDizzy. Chef and I met at NFT NYC last month, and we just got into this conversation about how artists need to build community. And I just thought his insights were so exciting. We decided to actually start this radio show so that we can bring you content like this. So thank you, Chef, for inspiring me to start Playform Radio.
Hey, thank you, Jen. The pleasure's all mine, for sure.
Yeah, so Chef is our first ever guest on Playform Radio. People call him ChefDizzy. Chef is an NFT art collector who has built successful NFT communities as well, including Junkyard Dogs, which is a community that sold out upon launch. So I met him at the Junkyard Dogs party that they hosted at NFT NYC, and from there, just got into some really exciting conversations about sorry, I'm trying to mute some people here.
No problem.
Yeah, Crystal, can you help mute some people here? Because this is I'm getting some feedback noise here. If you're not muted, please mute yourself. Thank you. Yeah.
No big deal. No big deal.
All right. So yeah.
So Jen, go ahead.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so just kind of want to get this conversation started. Maybe you can just kind of start talking about how you got into collecting NFT art.
Okay, cool. Essentially, I am a crypto entrepreneur since 2017. I'm a chef by trade, blue collar guy, but I've always been looking for advances in technology. Like the story about the gold rush always inspired me, not necessarily because people were like striking it rich, but because it represented a moment in history when there was a lot of opportunity for people to seize something, right? Or some of these great expansions and rapid movements in civilization. So I've always been looking for that kind of thing. And when I found out about cryptocurrency and Ethereum in 2017, I knew that this was it. I knew that I needed to learn about this and be as involved as possible. I ended up setting up a small mining operation in my basement. Actually, I had like 36 graphics cards running at one point. I had to install like a custom fan to suck out all the heat. It was really cool. And I had to, self-teach myself about all this stuff. And unfortunately, when crypto began to crash in the beginning of 2018, I wasn't able to keep the mining rig up. And I kind of just hodled, with my ear to the ground with crypto. During a bull market, everybody loves to talk about it. During a bear market, we kind of just have to like take it on the chin and keep our head down until, people kind of tend to believe in it again. Right. And so it was February 2020 when I'm really reinvigorated about cryptocurrency, and I'm trying to find out what's the next big thing, what's the next big movement, because I knew it was DeFi before that. And then in 2017, we had this big ICO thing, right? And so I was looking for like, what is causing the renewed interest? And then I found out about NFTs actually via Top Shot. And so, I raced into Top Shot only to find out that I was actually a little bit too late, right? But I did join the Discord and I did see what was going on in there. And they had this ravenous, sports community in there. And it just like the Top Shot Discord is the kind of place where, you know, the messages fly by so fast that you can't actually ever have a conversation with anybody, right? But I was too late to be involved in Top Shot. And then I found actually VV Collectibles, which was another like licensed IP app. They're actually really interesting. They do AR models of licensed collectibles like Batman and Spider-Man, and they actually have luxury toys like designer toys from like Frank Kozik and Jermaine Rogers and different people like that. And so this is actually where I first like found myself getting swept up in community. Now, a lot of people don't understand the connection between a big brand like Vivi and community. Me, initially, I just wanted to be early. I saw that this was a niche. I wanted to be as expert as possible. And so I made it a point to spend hours and hours in the Discord. And honestly, I guess it shows my noob self, because this was also the first time I saw like leveling up in the Discord. And I was like, hold on a second. If you can level up in here, there must be a reason, right? And so I was determined to be like number one or number two, a very surface level. And that may seem silly, but also it made me constantly in the Discord. I was constantly investing in there. And, you know, through my time in that Discord, I have to say that I met some of my very best friends in the NFT space. We created our own private little collectors and traders Discord, where I tried to like pull in like the people who I thought were really bright or had you know, influence or interesting things to say or whatever, right? And you know, throughout the course of that, I you know, I just made a lot of relationships that really formed the basis for things going forward. And you wouldn't be surprised to find out that the vast majority of the people from that initial group are actually the people who founded Junkyard Dogs. You know what I mean? Junkyard, that was the breeding ground for the ideas and the relationships that created Junkyard Dogs. And
Yeah.
anyway, but that's a little fast forward.
And
Essentially,
that's kind of how it always works,
yeah,
right? Like if you
right,
look
right,
at
right.
PayPal Mafia, right? They're now behind most of the Web2 companies out there, right? Like, you know, from one community comes more communities, comes more ideas, becomes more. And that's what I've been, you know, when I talk to the artists that use Playform, you know, they come to me with a lot of questions. They're like, how do we get started? I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just get out there.
Right,
You
right.
have to get in early, because yes, your first project might fail. You know, the first one, you know, might not work at all. But as you know, you need to get out there right now, because you need to join these communities. You need to meet the people who are early, because those are going to be the people who end up becoming your partners for the next project. And if you
Absolutely.
don't put yourself out there now, you're, you know, like, it sounds like you had like a real FOMO about this, and you're trying to get in like, all right, I was too late for Top Shots. What's next? Let's do it. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
you're
yeah. Oh, that was certainly it for me.
going.
And I'm not gonna beat around the bush. For me, that it was like entirely like financial desire driven. Like I knew the financial aspects, but
Mhm.
what I'm trying to get to here, Jen, is that the people who are in the VV Discord, the people who are in the VV community, they have almost created a religion around VV. And that sounds a little weird, but you know, around these like collectibles, around, you know, this NFT community, people have created friendships, friend groups of 10, 20, 30, hundreds of people, Twitter spaces where they're always hanging out. And the most one of the most remarkable things the last time I jumped into VV space was just listening to people talk about how life-changing this app was for them, but not because of the NFTs they were buying, but because of the relationships that they had made, you know? And so like, you know, for me, that was actually the biggest takeaway. You know, what people and
Yeah.
what big business and people don't realize about NFTs is that it's that community aspect, the bonding, the direct connection aspect that is completely changing the way we do business.
Mhm.
I had the honor and privilege of doing an interview for this project I'm working on called Meta Art Club, and I was interviewing this Danish artist called Gita, and she had an amazing traditional arts background, and she was breaking into NFTs, and you know, she was kind of explaining some of the differences. Is that, you know, in the traditional art world, you don't talk about yourself, you don't self promote. If you have to self promote, you know, it's almost like you don't deserve to be here. It's frowned upon and shunned, right? And this is where the galleries and the gallerists come into play. They serve as the intermediary for the artists so that they don't have to talk about themselves and promote their own work.
Wow.
And she even pointed out that, you know, if you're a really successful artist, you know, you also end up not even having the time to interact with your community or interact with people. You know,
Or
if you
a
had
lot of
millions
the
of fans,
artists, yeah, a lot of the
yeah,
artists
yeah,
I talked
it's
to, I'm
busy.
like, who buys your art? And you know, I was really surprised. A lot of them were like, I don't know. The
Right.
galleries sell it. They're
Right.
like, I don't know. They like this gallery sells it, that gallery sells it. But I don't actually know who collects my work.
Right.
And to what you were saying, actually, like I started off in 2010. More in the celebrity world of helping actors and actresses, movie stars and television stars,
Nice.
figure out how to navigate social media. And I got the same kind of pushback. Traditional movie stars would tell us like, but movie stars don't talk to their fans.
Right.
Like
Right. Right.
we're
Right.
there
Right.
to be elusive and to be mysterious.
Right.
Cut to, I mean, look at the biggest stars of YouTube,
Hmm.
right? Like then I would go to VidCon and I would see how these YouTubers were engaging directly with their fans. Their fans would come up to them and be like, I emailed you the other day. Did you get it? And he'd be like, oh yeah, how's everything going? And
Right. Right.
like
Right. Right.
they actually knew their audience. And like, that really put the creator in charge, right? They
Right.
went from actor, being a participant in someone else's creation to becoming the, like the star, the creator, because they had the direct relationship with the audience, which I think is so powerful. And
Right.
that's really the opportunity I think artists have today with NFTs.
I agree. I agree. I agree 100%. 100%. And the thing is, all right, anyway, I could go deep, I could go metaphorical with this. I was having a lot of thoughts earlier today, but essentially,
Mhm.
I think that civilization is being redeveloped and redeployed on the digital scale, right? So imagine that we're in a neighborhood, okay? But I'm not there physically. I can't go out and meet my neighbors physically, right? So how else can you meet people without putting yourself out there digitally? This means being involved in spaces, in clubhouses, making
Mhm.
consistent posts. You know what I mean? Like there's no other way to be seen. And Jita was making the point that if you're really good, if you're damn good in the fine arts world, people will take note, and you don't have to promote yourself. But that's actually not the case here. No,
Yeah.
in NFTs, I'm not saying that it's a popularity contest. What I'm saying is it's about human connection.
Yes.
I've interviewed probably 20 more than 20 artists. I've been doing a daily interviews with artists, and all of them actually have a very similar, sorry, I don't want to say all of them, many of them have a very similar origin story, and it all starts on Clubhouse. Okay, and I'm not telling everybody here to go jump on Clubhouse. Okay, the way you spend your time on social media, you have to measure it and be intentional, right?
Yeah.
But for many of them, they met their first collector on Clubhouse. They met their
Mhm.
first group of collectors on Clubhouse. And when you can make this human connection with your collector, that collector tells people about it. And as a matter of fact, when we're talking about community, it's not just about fan and creator or collector and artist, because actually when I'm excited about an artist's artwork, I want to promote them. When I promote them and help them become more popular, my art also becomes more valuable, right?
Mhm.
And so by being involved in the community, I'm actually participating in the creation of value, right? And so like this is what Web 3.0 is all about, in my opinion, is allowing the community to be co-creators in value and also benefit from that value as well. You know what I mean? It's not just about the
Exactly.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's really what blockchain enables, right? It's a new way of distributing value that never existed before. And
yeah,
to your point, this idea that your collectors want to invest in your career because the more successful you become, the more valuable the art becomes, right? That's
yeah,
always existed in the fine art world. People are collecting certain artists because they believe that they're going to become big one day.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I think the key difference with an NFT and digital is that now that collector is not just kind of showcasing in their house and waiting for their rich friends to come over so that they can
Yeah, yeah,
brag
yeah. So they
about
can
you.
show off and brag, right?
Yeah. Now they can actually do it for you to thousands, millions of people on social media.
Right.
The reach is so much bigger.
Please right click and save our NFTs. Please do it. Please do it. Right click and save all my NFTs and post them everywhere. You know?
Exactly. Like help
Yeah.
us get the exposure because ultimately, yeah, like people talk about right clicking all the time. I'm like, well, you can right click all you want and you can enjoy the image, but you don't own it. You're
Right.
not part
Exactly.
of this community. You don't have a relationship with that artist. You just have their work. You have their
Right.
artwork.
Right.
But if you're a collector, if you hold their NFT, you are invested in the future of this artist. It's almost like you have shares in the artist, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
And that's really the cool thing that's happening here. And I think artists need to start thinking about themselves as companies, as entrepreneurs, to
Definitely.
think about their art as products, and as their collectors, as a community of people that are now going to be around this artist and help them succeed.
Yeah.
And
Even
that's,
even the
yeah.
big artists, even the big artists still remain semi-approachable. You would be surprised, but of all the artists I've collected on Nifty Gateway, I've shot them all a message on Twitter. They've
Mhm.
all responded. Okay. And then the ones who have the right business minds, they have a Discord, right? And in that Discord is where their collectors are, and their collectors end up celebrating that artist. And that maybe there's a sales bot, and they all cheer every time an artwork is resold. And I'm thinking about Dot Pigeon actually right now. I love the Dot Pigeon server. It's a group of diamond-handed hardcore collectors, and these guys aren't even like big celebrities. They're just like, they're really passionate and you know um, just about the art, right? But what I like about Dot Pigeon server is, first of all, there's roles based off of how many of his pieces that you own. Okay, and so all the collectors are acknowledged, and they get a little special, roles based off of how many they own, right? Which is not a big deal. It's not like you get anything, but it's just a subtle nod, right?
Mhm.
Another really fun thing that they do in that server is they have like a giveaway weekly, right? And it's like stickers. It's not even like an NFT or art, but they're just like cool little unique Dot Pigeon stickers that he's been doing this giveaway for like 30 weeks in a row. It's really amazing, but it's fun. It's
Mhm.
fun. um
Well, and it's
Most importantly,
also right. Like the other fun thing here is, like, if you're attracted to this artist's work and someone else is attracted to that artist's work, you immediately already have a starting off point, right? You have
yeah, it's a
something in
community.
common,
That's yeah,
and
yeah,
that's how
you're
you build a
members of the same
community.
club. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Right, like just like people who wear Supreme and they like run into someone who's also wearing Supreme, they're like, you wear Supreme, you're one of us. You drive a BMW. Why do you drive a BMW? Because you run into, or actually like Tesla, for example, why do people get Teslas? Because all the other people have Teslas, right? Like,
I want one because I'm tired of driving, Jen. I desperately want somebody to drive me around, but
but you're gonna
everybody else
meet,
might want
yeah.
one because they're popular.
Well,
But
but it also says something about the person who has a Tesla. One, they don't want to drive. Two, they're into, eco, like,
sure,
they're trying to be eco-friendly possibly, and luxury. And, like everything that we purchase actually does put us in a community.
it's tribal. It's very
Yeah.
tribal.
It's just that with NFTs, now the value that we bring to that brand and to that community, we get to take a piece of as members of that, right? Like,
Yeah,
I've been telling people, if you carry a Louis Vuitton purse around, you're going around and going, Louis Vuitton, you're sharing Louis Vuitton with the whole world. They're looking at your
yeah,
purse and going, what's LV? Now they know Louis Vuitton. But
absolutely.
Louis Vuitton charged you $5,000 and gave you nothing back. The only person making money from you carrying that Louis Vuitton bag is Louis Vuitton.
Right, 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 right.
Whereas, if you have a junkyard dog and you're posting it on Twitter and you're posting it all over the place, it's not just junkyard dogs making money. The
Sure,
value of junkyard dogs brand going up actually delivers value to the entire community because now
absolutely.
they have an NFT.
And I want to make this a little artist specific because there's a huge difference between profile picture projects or collectibles collections rather,
Yeah.
and fine arts and an artist's career in the way that they create and distribute their work, and also the communities function differently too.
Yeah.
You're most likely not going to find somebody who's going to put generative art as their profile picture, or something abstract, you know what I mean? And so people don't identify tribally visually with their artworks, but they are looking to connect with the other collectors in your group. And
Mhm.
I think it's so important to have a Discord, streamline it. Look, people pay me a lot of money to help them with their Discords, but almost all the good things I learned from Discord, I watched a 30-minute video about, called Best Discord Practices 2021. Okay, it's free, it's totally out there. You just have to look for it. You know what I mean? You can find out all the streamlined stuff, make something really attractive, and your Discord becomes a place where you catch your collectors, you catch your community. And I just want to say one more thing about the Dot Pigeon server. The very best thing about it is that he's there. Okay, he's not typing out monologues or anything, but he's like, hey guys, I'm drunk, I just ate risotto, I'm having a good time. Or hey, I just went to the barber, and everybody's like, how do you go to the barber with the balaclava on? You know what I mean? It's like, it's just these little interactions that allow us to feel close to Dot. And like that is the most powerful thing about it. So when we're talking about artists interacting with their collectors or their community, I don't want you to feel like I'm telling you, you have to be beholden to these people, or that you have to like put in, you give them your life, you know. But what I'm saying is that that ability to connect on another level, to just make
Mhm.
that human connection, is so attractive. It's so alluring. We've never been able to be close to our heroes like that before, right? And so the fact that we can do this with Web 3.0, and then to take it one step further, for the collectors. And I'm sorry if I'm talking too much, just interrupt me. But with these Discord servers, you can have gated access. Okay,
Mhm.
so you can have people who are in and people who are out. And in the gated access area, you can have even more access to the artist, more behind the scenes shares, more things like that. Um, you also oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. All right, but yeah,
Yeah, no,
the
but I
gated
mean,
access is really important too. There's utility there. Oh yeah, and gated drops. So a lot of my favorite artists, they will only sell their newest artworks to people who already have a piece. They gate their artwork like that, and maybe
mhm,
not all of it. Sure, they still sell some things publicly, but
mhm,
by gating it to previous collectors, they're giving us the value. Like Annabelle Sikinolfi, I bought his open edition, 8 months ago. It went below retail. I diamond handed these pieces for months and months and months, and then finally he's gotten some traction, and now they're worth thousands of dollars. And now you need these pieces to get into his next drops, right? And so
mhm.
for me as a collector, I'm like, wow, I love his art, but I also love that his business model is oriented in a way that also allows me to participate and me to benefit from the value creation as well, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and it really is around that community, right? Because like in a sense, like we each have a role within that community. The collectors perform a certain role, the artist performs a certain role. And it like, it sounds like with this particular artist, it's kind of like this idea of let's all take care of each other, let's all look after each other. The collectors who invested early and said, hey, look, we believe in you. We're going to
Yeah.
invest in you now because we believe that you have the ability and the vision and all of that to be able to be successful. And then voila, to your point, it's paying off.
Right.
And
Right.
that's really what I think the art world really needs, this collaboration, this community aspect. I think the other thing, I just kind of wanted to touch on as well was your experience with Junkyard Dogs. This was
Yeah.
a very successful PFP project. So not art, but I think there's, just kind of going with you guys to all of, the Junkyard Dogs and all the other parties that we went to at NFT NYC and meeting the people within these communities and seeing how they interacted. I was like, artists need to learn from this. And actually, I do find a lot of the artists that have been successful with NFTs, they are in PFP communities because they're pulling from that experience and learning about community and bringing it into their art world, into the art world, into art practice as well.
Yeah.
So can
This
you just
is,
share a little bit about
yeah.
Junkyard Dogs, how it started and how it went?
All right. Hold on. Before I go there, okay.
Yeah.
You actually touched on something really important, and that is that PFPs are almost like a digital passport. Okay.
Mhm.
It's like it's admittance into a community, but it also shows the world that you are of the culture and of the community, right? And I think that there's some benefit to that. And also, when I talk about artists promoting their work, I think it's really important to become of the culture. You can't just come in. It stands for profile picture, Sean. Thanks for the question. Yeah, profile picture. And um, so these profile picture projects, it's like your passport. It shows your community, and it's important. I'm not telling you that you have to buy one, but when you become involved with the community, you make friends, you make connections, you network with people, and this is really important. And it's important to do this before you try to sell them something.
Mhm.
Okay. You're going to have a really hard time making friends if all the conversations are centered around you trying to get them to look at your OpenSea collection or whatever. It's
And
not
that's
going
in
to
the
work.
real world too, right? That's
Yeah,
always
for
been the
sure.
case. If
For
no
sure.
one likes salespeople that just kind of show up at your door and like, hey, you want to buy this? No, we want to, the people who are all like, I mean, I've built so many sales teams at tech companies.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
salespeople that have always been the best, that bring in the most money, were always the people who would just get to know people, and they would take them to dinner and they would get to know them, learn about their kids, like do all of that.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, definitely.
when the customer, when they had a need for the product, they would come to them automatically. Like they didn't need to sell. They just built relationships. And
Yeah,
yeah.
and so tons of people are coming into the NFT space as observers, and they want to go right from observer to
Top seller.
yeah, to top seller without becoming a member of the community first. You know what I mean? Without
Yeah.
the small steps, and you can't rush that part. And I'm sorry if I come off as intense or passionate, but like there's no replacement for hours put in. Every single time I sat down at my computer and I was like, you know what? I'm going to sit in Discord for 2 hours today and just talk to the people here. I can't tell you one time where I came away feeling like I wasted my time. There was some knowledge that I gained, or some project, or some relationship, or, like there's so much that can happen, and you're not going to meet these people outside. You know what I mean? There's nowhere else to get it. And so, yeah, you got to put the time in to really benefit and do what I'm talking about. There's no replacement for that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the other thing, right? To your point, you can't do this outside. I mean, you can go out and meet people, but you're limited to the people within your physical reach. I think the really amazing thing that happened during the pandemic is our metaverse got bigger. I spent most of the pandemic talking to people halfway around the country. I've been working with people all over the world. Like you're in Philly right now. I'm in Miami. Yeah, I kind of ended up here.
Nice. Nice. Oh, you're at Art Basel, right?
Yeah, I'm at Art Basel.
Oh my God, you're probably having the time of your life, and you're.
We're missing you too, dude.
I know. I bet. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My wife. Look, she couldn't spare me.
Yeah, but but that's the really cool thing about this whole new opportunity around NFTs. I look at the market, and it's just been so like different from every other wave of tech in that it's been global. Right? Like every other business that I started during the Web 2 and Web 1 days, we would think about how do we go after America? Or maybe how do we go after Los Angeles or San Francisco? And then we'll expand from there. Whereas, I mean, with Playform, the people even on this chat right now, they're from all over the world. Our audience, I look at our Google Analytics, there's over 100 countries represented. And we're a startup. We didn't have like even the thought to, kind of focus on America and then go out. You don't need to. Cryptocurrency is available everywhere. We're able to transact in all kinds of languages. And we
self-congregate too. You can find people who are interested in cryptocurrency also very easily. Because we go to those places ourselves, you know what I mean? Globally, right? So it's easy.
But I've noticed this latest wave of tech, right? It's not just happening in San Francisco. It's not just happening in like little pockets, but it's happening globally. Your future collector, for the artists on this chat, your like next collector, your first collector, they're not going to probably live in your town. You don't need to be limited to the people within your reach. You have a global audience to go after. And so I think that's where, building these discords and virtual galleries and engaging on social media and like really reaching out matters so much, because your addressable market, all the people that could buy your art, it's global. It's not just the people who have access to galleries.
Yeah, it's good for the artist and it's good for the collector, because even now artists from Nigeria or Senegal, I was just talking to Vintage Mozart and Linda Dunia, and they're not blocked geographically from participating in this global market. As a matter of fact, it's life-changing to be able to tap into these markets and find collectors from around the world. You know what I mean? So I think I was anyway, go ahead, Jen.
So someone just asked a question, actually, and this is interesting. He said, what about educating a community that is not yet involved in NFTs or Discord? So like, it sounds like he has a community of people that, like his reach is around like outdoor lifestyle, he's saying. And he said, most of the people don't know about NFTs or what Discord even is. How do you think about that?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I think that, first of all, specifically for outdoor lifestyles, attracting somebody to a digital transition may be difficult. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't feel like those are the same type of people who will be inclined to contribute a ton into a Discord. Okay, however, okay, so that's that. The second part is though, onboarding out people who are not familiar with crypto and NFTs into NFTs, I think is actually a really powerful way to grow your
Mhm,
community and to
mhm,
market your work. Again, you're adding value, and if you're familiar with how to create a MetaMask, for example, or how to set up your basic accounts, and you're willing to help people make that transition, that's like super powerful. And one of the things that Junkyard Dogs did actually to be successful is we did help onboard a lot of people actually from the Vivi community. So and Vivi is like all cash based, so there's no um, the UI is very simple for new people to use, right? So there's no wallets or setup or anything like that involved. Um, but yeah, it's a huge barrier to entry. Another great case in point of VFriends. VFriends went um, balls to the wall to help onboard members from Gary's existing community. I think
mhm. I
for
just want to
thousands
point
of
out VFriends is Gary Vaynerchuk's project, which was really successful, and Gary Vaynerchuk has become Mr. NFT. If you want
yeah
to learn about NFTs, go follow Gary V.
yeah. Gary Vee has done an amazing thing for himself,
Mhm.
but one of the things he did that was amazing, and that I'm surprised more projects don't emulate more, is just the way he literally targeted out the like non NFT people and onboarded them through his project and through his sale. And so I want to say that it's an incredibly effective approach. But okay, back to the outdoors lifestyle Discord community. So this isn't going to be, in my mind, a place where people are doing a lot of talking, together, but this is a place where people can share the moments of solitude that they're enjoying in their outdoors life. I feel like outdoors life is, going and seeing and experiencing and maybe sharing pictures, or I'm not sure what your community's about, but
But
you,
that
you
might
could,
be but that might be the way to kind of
yeah,
engage the
yeah,
community. Like, hey, here's a Discord, share your photos with us. And I mean, if you want to
absolutely.
get really creative, get your community to put in all their cool outdoor photos into a Discord channel, run it through Playform, and see what the community can create
Boom.
together
Yeah,
using
yeah, yeah, yeah.
AI.
Exactly. It's a
NFT
very
series.
cool idea. It's a super cool idea. And then and you could also do something like a weekly campfire talk, or I don't know, that's corny. Maybe that's too
Oh, that's
cheesy,
cute.
right?
I
But
like that though.
but some kind of weekly session where people just get together to talk about the outdoors. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you can bring that into there, because it's not about the tech. The tech is just a tool for the
Mhm.
connection between human beings,
Yeah.
and
And you might get outdoors
yeah,
people from like Germany now interacting with the outdoors people from Colorado and the outdoor communities. I mean,
absolutely.
they're all over the world. And I just kind of wanted to add to what you were saying about onboarding people being such a valuable process. I absolutely agree. We work with so many artists here at Playform, and I've noticed that as a trend. The artists who are selling and are being successful at this, a lot of them will also do a lot of handholding for collectors. So, if people discover their work on Instagram, they're like, I want to buy it. I don't know how to buy an NFT. They'll walk them, they'll get on a Zoom call with them. They'll walk
Interesting.
them through the MetaMask and, all of that. And I think that's like a big part of how,
Thanks, Jen. No,
yeah,
no, keep
like,
going, keep going.
I mean, I just think that like, that is really, you're adding to the community, one, by bringing someone new to the NFT community, and once you bring them on, they'll probably buy your art as well as other people's art, and so you're kind of giving back. But that person's going to always feel grateful to you, right? They're going to be like,
Yeah,
when they make their first, like, 1,000, 10,000 through NFTs and crypto, they're going to be like, yeah, and you know who got me started? Like Jen Palmer. She's such an awesome artist, right?
right.
Like that's like, that connection will be forever. They're going to always be grateful to you, right? Who isn't grateful to someone who turns them on to something really new and is patient with them and helps them through that process?
Right. Now,
I
I
yeah.
want to go ahead. I just want to talk about one thing that you may find challenging about onboarding new people into NFTs is that there's a lot of ignorance, in my opinion, and miseducation about the environmental costs of blockchain technology. Okay. And
Oh, yes, let's get into that.
yeah, okay. So, in a nutshell, there's lots of different blockchains, and they all have their different environmental costs. Okay. I acknowledge that Bitcoin and Ethereum both use a tremendous amount of energy as part of their process. Okay. Um, Blockchain technology does take energy, right? I admit that with no problem. It doesn't necessarily mean that the energy that the technology is bad, but it could be, first of all, dirty energy for me is the largest problem here. Okay. Now put that aside. Okay. People say that it's not fair to compare energy costs or compare one type of destructive practice to another. However, when we talk about something like Bitcoin, right, and how much energy it costs, the production of physical money itself also takes a lot of money. Okay, the cutting, the processing, the distribution, physical banks, the transportation in the trucks, acquiring the linens, the dyes, the whole thing is massively energy intensive. Okay. And we need to quantify that and understand what exactly we're comparing it to. Not to mention gold, the absolutely destructive practices of strip mining the planet of resources. You know what I mean? Like, again, like I acknowledge that Bitcoin takes energy, but when you compare that to the massive devastation of strip mining gold, all of a sudden, Bitcoin seems like a much better alternative to me. Okay, and then we need to apply this now to NFTs and blockchain technology again. So blockchain NFTs in a nutshell is digital property. It means that I can own this data, I can own this digital thing and differentiate it from yours. Okay, you can't just right click and save this because I can prove that it's mine, right? In order to do that, it needs to be written to the blockchain, and that does take some energy. Now, what you need to understand about Ethereum is that the miners are running 24 hours a day, whether or not you're minting any NFTs, whether or not you're sending any transfers, the machines are already on. Okay, so when you see something like the cost of minting one NFT is the same thing as a house, as the consumption of electricity of one house for X amount of days. What I want you to understand is you minting that NFT is not causing a sudden spike in energy consumption. It's already happening, and you are using a process that it's already running. The Ethereum is essentially a massive supercomputer that everybody can use from around the globe, and it's being run by the mining machines. And also Ethereum 2.0, layer 2, basically the people who are running the direction of Ethereum, they're working on solutions for that. I don't think Ethereum is going to be energy intensive forever. There's also solutions like Polygon and Matic. But I'm sorry, Jen, just one last thing is that when we're talking about NFTs on the blockchain, right? The cost of sending the art, the cost of storing the art,
exactly. I was going to say that. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Jen. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, no, we just we're trying to ship an artwork to a collector right now, and we got a quote, and it's $3,000 to ship. Right? People think gas fees are high. $3,000 to ship an artwork. On top of that, to your point, I think the reason blockchain gets such a bad rap is because it is so transparent. Anyone can go into these ledgers and find out how many transactions happen and make an estimate of how much energy was used and where that energy was used, in a way that transparency does not exist within our existing banking structure, within our Fed. In regards to how we currently create currency, to your point, all very good points, and also into the logistics of how art is currently shipped. So if I'm paying $3,000 to ship this artwork from here to Europe, and how many boats is it taking, planes, trains, automobiles and vans and buses, right? And how many of those sources of energy are actually dirty as well? Like, there's no transparency into it, right? FedEx isn't going to tell us. FedEx doesn't even control probably the whole process, so they don't even know themselves. And so I think, a lot of the bad rap that blockchain gets for the ecological impact, I think just really comes from the fact that this is the first time we're being honest.
Oh, that's a really good point that I didn't even think about. That just the fact that it's like plainly traceable and easily viewable means that you can right.
Because we have no idea how much pollution is happening as a result of art being shipped around the world.
Oh yeah, we live in total ignorance.
We just want to pretend it's not happening. Kind of like our food. We just act like nothing bad's happening. Like, we've really turned a blind eye to a lot of these kind of hidden processes that are damaging our environment. And if anything, I think, the transition to blockchain is actually helping us bring more transparency and helping us quantify the impact, so that, to your point, a blockchain like Ethereum can say, okay, we see how much environmental damage we're making, and everyone else can see it too. So we have to change. Whereas, like the Fed or the
or like Nabisco.
Yeah.
or like just massive corporations who have,
FedEx. Yeah.
yeah,
There's
sure.
no accountability. They're not required. They don't share that information with us. The only information they share is their financials. And they go, we made more money.
Right,
And
right.
like, but how much damage did you do to the environment? No, but we made more money, right? That's all
Absolutely.
they share with us. And so,
Not to
yeah.
mention,
Mhm.
well, just going digital for me, it's like no more plastics, no more landfills. Like one of the, okay, we could talk about the like the ozone in the environment, but God, I see so much trash in my city. Okay, like the just the physical production of things, right, needs to be reduced in our world, and uh shifting our mentality to a digital mindset of consumption and property could actually be so green. I tell people that NFTs are green, you know,
Mhm.
like we're directly reducing landfill waste by going with digital products. And so yeah, so as far as how that goes into onboarding people into your community, just like be aware of these things, know
Yeah.
that not everybody is going to be completely receptive to it, and just having your 3-minute speech about why you're doing what you're doing, why you believe in it, and why it's not how you're portraying it, you know, Mr.
Mhm.
Demonizer, to be, that can be really powerful, and you should prepare for that, because
Mhm.
um, I have found like shockingly visceral reactions against NFTs, where people think I'm like some
But
heartless
that,
devil who wants to like hasten the destruction of the world, and it's so
but
like jarring. It's so jarring for me, because
yeah.
it's the exact opposite. You know, I think
Yeah.
NFTs could save the world. So, you know, if only we could have a conversation about it, you know, where you could understand where I'm coming from, and of course, I want to understand where other people are coming from too. I just
But
all right.
yeah, to your point, I agree. Like when you're onboarding people, yeah, there's some frustrating processes. Don't bother to try to onboard people who don't want to be onboarded.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because, and it's just, you really gotta, don't take it personally. It's their loss, right? They're not getting in early. You're getting in early. So, focus on that and focus on the people who want to get involved in this. But I think this was just, I absolutely agree. This is a great conversation for artists to, kind of understand, because this is also a lot of resistance that I've heard from other people,
Mhm.
which has led to me thinking about, kind of this whole process, and, like we're just talking about, like shipping
It's
art,
important to
creating
care about the
currency.
environment. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. It's important to care about the environment. We should all care. And,
We all live on
just,
this planet. We don't all live on the
yeah,
internet. We get
yeah,
that.
right.
But to, if people are going to attack blockchain purely based on the ecological impact, I think we really then need to start looking around and saying, but is it, what about everything else we're doing? How come we don't have transparency and information on that? If anything, I think blockchain is going to help us capture that data. There's a lot of talk about logistics and all of that going onto the blockchain and food production. I
Oh
hope that
yeah. Oh yeah.
happens. I hope we get transparency on what's actually happening, because once that data is out there, just like it is to Ethereum, it will force the players to change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is going to make more impact to the environment than,
Absolutely.
anything else. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's kind of anyway, let's go back to
Yeah, let's keep going, because we got a user question here.
sure.
Um, so he was just kind of, he's asking thoughts about posting on Instagram these days, because if you do an NFT, you might not want to post on Instagram. But my community is on Instagram. So, it sounds kind of like he's asking about how to transition from Web 2 to Web 3 and things to think about.
Okay. So it's an important question. It's an interesting question. As far as like from NFT from a marketing standpoint, uh, the projects I'm involved in, and we don't spend a lot of time with Instagram, because while it is a very visual format, there's not actually a lot of transference over for people. You know, I think for for one advertising campaign, there was thousands of dollars spent targeting Instagram people, and the conversion rate was less than 1%, right? And so it's
Mhm.
just purely from a financial point of view, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about Instagram or interacting there. Now, to your point of how to get people to come over, I think it's possible, but getting people to do anything differently might be difficult. And so while okay, what I don't want you to do is abandon your Instagram community. Okay, that's not what I'm suggesting. However, you may need to start building a new community elsewhere. You know what I mean? And that might be hard to hear. Maybe we don't want to do that, but truthfully, you got to find the people who share that vision. And also, to your merit, if you have a large Instagram community, or maybe you have a small one, I don't want to sound like I judge people based by followers, but if I see somebody has a large Instagram community, but maybe small Twitter followers, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because for
Yeah.
me, it's confirmation that their visual style is really appealing. And it's actually something I look for in emerging blue chip artists, is like, oh, wow, this guy has 200,000 Instagram followers, but he's virtually unknown here. Like, people like his stuff. I can tell that it has a lot of appeal. This is somebody that I'm interested in, from a financial point of view. So,
That's a smart. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And then like you kind of feel like as a collector, I can help him build his Twitter.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I did with Annabelle Sikanolfi. And I don't want to take any credit. His career is all his. I just helped him set up a Discord and make it a little bit more streamlined. But he had the first time I encountered his works, it was a viral post on Facebook, and I was just like, whoa, this is awesome. And then I found out he was doing an NFT drop, and I was on it. And then I shot him a message, and now we're friends. You know what I mean? Like, the evolution from a distant fan to friend and community member, for me, is like really fun and part of the journey. And I hope that you will also find people, your collectors, your people who want to be involved in your journey. I know that you will. There's so many people out there that we're all looking to connect with our people. And what's amazing and special about art is that it evokes feeling, it evokes connection. It's not just some drab, dry subject. You know what I mean?
I think that's why it was like the first real application within the crypto space is, I think art really, like, I really think all of NFTs and really what's happening around it is this idea of brand and value. And I think art is just an area where it is art. Like, that is the product. It is brand and community, right? Like, the reason people buy art is because they love, like, they're falling in love with something in a way that is just, brand is all about passion.
Yeah, and don't think you need like a gimmick or a utility or
some kind of
do
like your thing, be authentic.
Thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. Your art is inherently valuable, and as long as you believe that and you don't compromise in that, I believe that too. You know what I mean?
I agree.
However,
but how you market that art,
yeah, and I'm just gonna say, like, if you look at an artist like Pac, okay, who is just pushing the absolute fucking limits about this relationship between artist and collector and group performance, he's innovating and pushing ways in the blockchain, or with NFT art, that nobody else is doing. I find the generative art to be a really amazing way that we're using the technology and pushing the limits of what we can do with art. But I just want to say, it would be maybe short-sighted to just stop with generative art. How can you incorporate innovative blockchain culture, technology, processes, whatever? You know what I mean? Be creative. You guys are artists. I know you're creative. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's got to be. I know that you have ideas. Try to figure out how you can do something a little bit differently, because this is also something that people really react to. You look at art blocks and stuff like that. These were like the very first art pieces that were using the Ethereum, or the blockchain transaction hashes as the root inputs for that art. I'm actually not a fan of squiggle chromies. I think it's just not my style. They're worth a lot, but I understand
there's
process.
There's a community for it, right? Like,
exactly.
I mean, and that's where I think, like, to the going back to your previous point, artists, please do not adapt yourself for NFTs. You might want to bring in new, kind of skill sets, new ways of thinking about your art, new ways of marketing your art, but really be authentic to what you create. If you don't love it, you're not going to find collectors who love it the way you love it, and therefore you will never build an authentic community.
I agree, but I disagree with the never adapt for NFTs, because what I'm saying, I don't want you to change.
I mean, like, don't change the style. Yeah.
Sure. But
ways of doing things. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you're not approaching this from the point of view of like, how can I push the limits a little bit? I think you're just not, you're selling yourself short. That's all I'm trying to say,
That's I would agree. And just in general with your art practice, always push yourself.
Yeah.
Make sure you're authentic. And actually, one other thing I just wanted to point out about the IG thing. So, I've worked in social media for a very long time. I've worked with a lot of different creators, celebrities, and influencers. And my advice back in those days and all the way to today, do not rely on Instagram. You know, going back to this whole problem that NFTs are trying to solve of when, you know, if you carry a Louis Vuitton bag and you're going around, you're helping Louis Vuitton make money. When you post on Instagram, Instagram does not pay you. Instagram takes all the value from what you are creating. They do not tell you who your follow, like, you know, you don't get the email addresses, you don't get the contact info for any of your followers on Instagram. Instagram owns all of that data. And so I think for anyone, artists or businesses or anyone you are, the closer you can get to your audience, the better. And so even, you know, I think Instagram's a great place to start the conversation. But as you were saying, start trying to, you know, bring some of them to your Discord, try to get them to sign up for a mailing list, start building it. Yeah.
NFT is about Twitter and Clubhouse. Okay. I'm sorry. This could be bad news for some people, but to find the collectors and to find the community that I think you need to target, you need to try to embrace some different social platforms.
Yeah, but on those platforms, they don't let you have that direct access either. So I think it's still important to use all of the channels, but create a way to bring them closer to you, whether it be getting their email, their phone number, get them into your Discord that you operate and control. I think
Discord is like the new emailing list.
Yeah.
Like Discord is the new email list and all that, you know.
And, you know, I would encourage you to think about, how do I incentivize to come over? So, you know, what you were saying earlier, Chef, about like, you know, some artists are doing exclusive drops in their Discord. Well, hey, you're all following me on Instagram and you like my work. I'm giving away 10 free NFTs if you join my Discord. That's the only place you're going to be able to get it. If you join my mailing list, if you do this, like create an incentive to bring your kind of most valuable followers closer to you. Do not let it just completely sit on third-party networks.
100%.
So yeah.
100%. That's actually a really great point, Jen. What you're making about specifically about Discord versus Twitter, Clubhouse, Instagram, is that you are putting your social network into one place that becomes your value, your community, as opposed to it belonging to somebody else. And Discord doesn't profit, you know, off of unless you have people using Nitro, but you know what I mean? It's a very interesting neutral party in that respect.
Yeah,
and definitely,
but they're in your community and they're tightly connected to you, right?
Yeah.
And you decide what they see, not an algorithm powered by someone else.
Sure. And I love what you're saying about incentivizing people to come over. I should have thought of that. It's a brilliant strategy, you know, especially, hey, I can give you a special role if you're following me on Twitter and Instagram and in my Discord. You get a special role, and people with this special role are entitled to a special giveaway raffle or something like that, you know, like easily incorporating.
That's even better, because now you can start tying together, okay, well, I know their Twitter handle, their Instagram handle, and their Discord handle. I mean, think like, what would Facebook do, right? Facebook is always trying to connect these different data points because it creates more value for them. So, you know, like, how can you increase the value of your network? You need to start gathering that data as well and understanding who your audience is. So we got some more questions here.
Yeah. So
I love the idea of art collaborations, design, music, and video. How does it come together from project to NFT from a business perspective?
I'm not sure I entirely understand the question, but it sounds like what you're saying is how does incorporating the visual with the audio together affect the NFT perspective? And to that point, if I understand your question correctly, I think that it's a great application. It does actually make your stuff more valuable. This is what I'm talking about. Okay. For thousands of years, a painting on the wall has just been a painting on the wall. Okay. It couldn't make any sound. It couldn't change. And that's okay. That's beautiful. And there's a lot of value there. But with a digital image, you can add some subtle animations. You can select a backing track. And now all of these things seek to complement the original composition, if you know what I'm saying. And by adding these other dimensions to your artwork, I think it makes it does make it a little bit more attractive. You know, it does create some more draw and differentiates it from, you know, the old style, you know what I mean? And so many of my but just to be clear, not all the artworks that I collect have audio or motion associated with them. It's not an exclusive necessity. Annabelle is a great example. All of his artwork are stills, but actually something really unique. What he's done is he's created an app So his images are these AutoCAD renderings of very futuristic cities. It's amazing. You have to check it out. Annibale Sicanolfi is an Italian guy, but he's got this app that allows you to actually go into the cities and actually like look around and see things from a street level perspective. And so now we've just taken this still and added a whole nother dimension of interaction and access that is just,
Mhm.
it just excites the heck out of me, man. Like that's I've never heard of something like that, right? So that's cool.
Yeah.
How that's pushing the limit in a unique way. And so finding ways you can do that with your style, if you can, could be very valuable in making yourself set apart. And yeah.
Yeah, and this is really where, like, what we were talking about earlier, like, I don't think artists should change their vision and their expression and all of that, but they should leverage new tools, right?
Yes,
There are
yes, yes,
so many
yes.
new tools now around AR, VR, 3D. We have Playform AI. Like, these are all things that can, take your expression, your vision, but now present it in more interactive ways and, really add to the experience of what you are trying to communicate to your audience. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. So another question we got, can any of these NFT principles be applied to physical work? Yeah, I mean, I like to the physical space. I mean, I would say all of them, it's just that the scale of digital is so much larger. And that's why, I think, if you want to do it at a physical level, you're kind of at a smaller scale, right? You can build a community, but as I said before, depending on where you live, you can only reach so many people. If you're going to do a meetup group in the real world, right? Like for example, if I wanted to host this as a real event, this webinar, like none of you could have come. It would, if I hosted in Los Angeles, the 3 artists maybe that live there too would be there. But with digital, you have the scale of reach. And I think that's really more like we're taking that physical world and like making it scale through digital. Any thoughts?
Yeah. Okay. So I have a couple. First of all, I've been laughed at for saying this, but I think in the future, your grocery store is going to have a Discord. I think Starbucks is going to have a Discord. I think all of your favorite brands are going to have a Discord because it's essentially a home for you to put your collector base, your consumer base, people who spend money on your brand. You know what I mean? It's a great way to disperse information. And so, as far as that principle translating to the physical, I think Discord is going to be something with mass appeal, in the next 10 years, in digital versus physical, across the board. Now, also, I want to disclaim that I am not a professional physical product advertiser or marketer. And I think that one of the things that makes the NFT market so special, Jen keeps touching on it, is that we're early, right? And so, look, there are hundreds of hours of YouTube videos that you can watch about marketing and doing the thing in Web 2.0. We call that Web 2.0, right? The model that exists. I don't know about that. I can't speak on it with expertise, and so I'm not going to bullshit you. But I just want to say that what's different about Web 3.0 is that instead of competing with 10 million other people who have a very similar style to you, this is what being early means. It means that the amount of competition, the amount of fish in the sea is much smaller. And so that is where focusing your efforts on Web 3.0 can be really fruitful, right? It's because it just
Yeah, I say this all the time. I wrote my master's thesis on YouTube back in 2007.
Oh, cool.
And I was like researching YouTube and I saw these kids, Niga Higa, he's doing skateboarding tricks and pranks, and there was some guy named, I thought it was SCXE Phil, but it turns out it's Sexy Phil. He was like telling people the news or something. And I was like, what are these kids doing? I don't get it, but they're here on YouTube and I'm watching their content. I worked at Disney at the time. I was like, hey, look at what these kids are doing. They're like, that's not content. Cut to, I think Niga Higa now has like 20 million followers on YouTube.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I met him later because his team came to me for one of the other startups I worked with. And it was like, oh my God, I remember this guy from 2007. And now he's one of the biggest YouTubers in the world. And I agree, it's because he got there early. There's so many people that came after him that try to copy his style, that try to do the pranks in the videos too, some of whom were very successful as well. But Ryan Higa got to he was at the top with 20 million followers because he was there early.
This is something I want to say also. People keep talking about the next Beeple, the next Bored Apes, the next Banksy, the next Chromie Squiggles. there's,
Yeah.
in my
Yeah.
opinion, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
Okay, these are people, these are projects that did something unique and became successful with it. So instead of trying to imitate what they did and become the next one of those, be the next yourself.
Be
Maybe
the
that's cliche and
first.
stupid. Yeah,
Yeah.
be the first you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
it's like that's what I'm talking about when I wasn't trying to to talk down about Chromie Squiggles. They were the first ones to do what they did, and that is why they're so successful. I think
Yeah.
aesthetically, it's not like
It's just
something
not your
overwhelmingly
style.
beautiful, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because it was the first one to incorporate this process, right now it's historical and there's a massive collector base around it. And so yeah, finding things that you can do, that are unique and put your own twist, um, can really be a way to set yourself apart in this space. And what's amazing about Web 3.0 is that not everything has been done yet, right? Now the possibilities are literally endless. What use your imagination. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you think. What could you do if you could change input variables with oracles, or if you could draw input from the clouds growing across the sun, or you know what I mean? I don't know. Like I feel like what we can do with this interconnected world of data that we have now, the possibilities are limitless, and especially when we're talking about generative art. I talked with Jen. I have my own ideas. I have a project that I want to use some Playform stuff with this other musical artist, and like I'm like, I called her up. I'm like, hey, can you do this with Playform? Can you do that with Playform? Like what are the limitations of this technology? And it was a really amazing conversation because it turns out we can, there's actually a lot, you know what I mean? Like you can go in a lot of places with this stuff, and it's just about kind of
Yeah,
dreaming it,
and that's what I mean. It's a tool, right? Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
each artist uses it differently. And that's where I'm just kind of like, don't change your art. Don't do it for the sake of trying to fit in some box, because you need to be the first you.
Right.
But incorporate all these tools, because the beauty of Playform is everyone gets something different. Depending on what you feed it, it's going to give you a different result. Depending on how you use it, you're going to get different results. And so, I think it's just so important, like, yeah, incorporate AR, 3D, blockchain, NFTs, like, think outside the box in regards to how you approach your community. Think outside your neighborhood, because NFTs allow you to do that. But be the first you. You are the only one that has that visual in your head. You are the only person that has that expression. And, I think you were saying earlier, like, you have, that has value. Your art has value because you are human, and humans have value, and that value translates into your art as long as you are authentic about how you present it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're getting up on time, so I want to be
All right.
respectful of
Yeah,
the time, as well as
let me hit him. Let me hit him with the closing.
all right, let's do it. And
All
also,
right.
can you share how people can follow you, kind of connect with you after this call, because I'm sure a lot of people want to.
Sure. On Twitter, I'm ChefDizzyD at ChefDizzyD. Um, that's essentially the best place to reach me. I do have a Discord. I love using Discord. If you connect with, I'm in the Junkyard Dogs Discord, and if I had a link for you to share, I would connect with you there as well. But yeah, that's basically it. Twitter and Discord are the best ways. Um, and yeah, okay. So we've talked about a lot of stuff, and it's been really great being here, Jen. And I appreciate you listening to me and asking me questions and whatnot. For the artists, I just want to say that we talked about a lot of stuff, right? But for me, it's about time put into the community and being a part of the culture. If you feel like you're running into a roadblock, take 10 hours this week, put a timer on it, and try to interact with people and join a Discord and be a part of it and just make some friends. It sounds so stupid, but this is what works. And you'll find that by just growing your connection and making friends, people will ask about your art, and you can softly promote yourself, but not and you can strongly too in the right circumstances. But really just trying to become a member of a community and then trying to build your community, I think you will find so much success with that route. And there are shill spaces, which is essentially you can join a Twitter space where you wait in line for your opportunity, and you get your 5 minutes of fame, maybe a minute and a half, where you're invited to talk about yourself and self promote. I think these spaces can be really effective, but you should also practice your elevator speech, because you will wait 30 minutes for your minute and a half. Okay. And you're going to wait that because you want that exposure, you want that time. So make sure that you're prepared to speak on yourself and your project. If you get up there and you're stuttering and you're not ready, you're just, it's okay, but it's just like you're not going to get as much impact as you can out of that. Same thing with Clubhouse. I highly recommend you try to connect to the NFT Clubhouse rooms, because there are great communities out there, and you need to get face time and exposure and get people to connect with you, because that helps them connect with your art. And that would be my closing statement. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you so much, Chef. It's been great to have you on. You've inspired a whole new series of conversations. So also just wanted to share with the group, we will continue this every week. And next week, we're going to be featuring another friend of mine who's going to be talking about creating impact with art. So I know a lot of people are interested in how to partner and collaborate with different causes that you actually care about through your art. And so we're going to be sharing the RSVP in the chat here. That's with a friend of mine named Aisha Khan. She runs purpose marketing at Nike. And so I thought it'd be really interesting to have that conversation with her. Thank you, Chef, so much. This is brilliant. I really enjoyed meeting you at NFT NYC. I learned so much from you.
I did too. And that wild Junkyard Dogs party, right? That was awesome.
Well, and now I'm a Junkyard Dog too. I got one.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I got one. I'm one.
Did you verify in the Discord though?
I need to jump on that actually. But yeah, I got one because I wanted to stay connected to the community of people I met, including Chef. And see, look how it works. Now I got him on this radio show. Join communities, build communities. Everything about Web3 is going to be about communities.
About authenticity, community. Yeah, like making friends. You can't make real friends if you're not authentic. Yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys. I'm so glad you guys got a chance to see this. It's been great to kind of see your faces in in Zoom here, to kind of see you guys receiving this information as well. I think it's going to just make you guys all, I think we give you a lot to think about. And thank you for joining us for Playform Radio. We look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
You guys, thank you. Bye.